Morning, guys. Saw this last night. Saw it again this morning. I'm sure there have been people who know this who are more in the loop than I am. But Capture 111 just dropped. Looking at it this morning on their website, it's got some pretty tasty features. So I thought I would do the equivalent of an unboxing with it. I've got Capture 110 installed right now. Some photos I shot last night just for fun. I'm going to go ahead and shut this catalog down and let's install Capture 111. Well, let's actually shut down Capture 1. There we go. Now it looks like the primary changes in 11 are in the area of masking, which is very appreciated. Got my license. We'll just skip over that part in the video. Okay, activated. No recent catalogs, because of course the settings are, not anymore. Need these. Close that. I keep my stuff all in a directory. I don't have all that much stuff on my computer. Let's open the planar pictures I was working on. Sure, why not upgrade? Okay, so not surprisingly, looks just like it did before I closed it. Let me go ahead and I'm going to new variant. So I'm going to take a shot at editing this just to see how it feels. My typical severely underexposed. This is actually a test shot that I like the way the lighting came out on. So it's a Nikon, so I can get away with that. Especially on a D810. Well, that's interesting. So the layer tab had tool tab. Okay, so there still is a local adjustment. Ooh, new tools on the local adjustment levels. That's good. That wasn't there before. That might be the only thing that's new. Color balance just in local. I think that was there before. I don't ever use that, so who knows. It's interesting to me that the default layout includes the layers now on the exposure tab on the histogram tool tab. So anyways, that's nice. Of course, I'm back on the default layout, so add tool, white balance. Minimize that. They're basically interesting choices. They moved vignetting over to the base exposure tab, which I guess a lot of people like to use vignetting. So maybe that's nice. Color editor is one of the areas where things change. So let's see how that works. Take that green out. Drop the saturation on the green. Go. So the walls in my house give everything a green cast if I shoot in my house. So it goes. This image is actually pretty monochrome. It's mostly this taupe color. Now some red. Hey, power. Presumably that won't happen again. Okay. And let's go. I don't normally like to go too crazy on the blues and the shadows, but for some reason on this photo I feel like So one of the rules of editing, you never get the same edit twice. So here's the edit I published last night that I really like. Not trying to duplicate it, I'm just trying to come up with my own new edit. Okay, let's play with some layers, because I think that's where the real stuff is, layer 1. So something I would not normally have tried in Capture One is a complicated selection like these wood chips. Let's give that a shot. They're a little bit bright. Let's drop them down just a little bit. And all I'm going to do here is I'm not going to select them nicely because I'm going to try refine mask. I know what I would do in Affinity with this, which is something not unlike what I'm doing right now, which is kind of blotch them out and then refine it down. Oh, refine. Let's see if refine does a good job. This doesn't have the... Okay, so it looks like I got to be more precise to start with to make that work. So let's go in, auto mask. Let's be a little more selective. Now this selection up here is going to be tough because we're talking about light brown on light brown. So I don't know what it's going to do there. It may not do a good job, but. So I'm just going to try to back this out so that it's closer. I don't normally use auto mask. Occasionally it works for me, but mostly it doesn't give me enough control. Okay, refine mask. That seems to be improving the auto mask. There's still some background being selected, but that's probably okay. Okay, so let's. I don't think I want to do any of that. What I think I want to do is, so some of the trick to using masking is being selective with the adjustments you do so that it blends in. Same thing applies to compositing images. Yeah, that knocks that down. I'm going to bump the saturation on that up just a little bit, make those chips a little warmer. So one of the other things they've added finally is the ability to change the mask opacity so you don't have to try to go back in and feather it out to try to make the entire thing slightly less opaque, which is a simple feature, but I think will have a lot of help because you put this in and you go, it's a little too much. So I try to tweak the settings, and that doesn't really get me where I want to go usually, but I can just back it off a little bit. And this is a strategy I use all the time in Affinity, so that's super helpful. Let's see what else is on this menu. Clear mask, invert mask, fill mask. Fill mask. Okay, so I'm going to start a new layer because I'm just curious what fill mask does. Okay, so that filled the entire screen. Now the question is, invert the mask. Okay, did what I hoped it would. So it fills included areas in the mask automatically, which is kind of nice. So you can work really on the outside edges of things, not fiddle with the inside. So the ability to feather mask will be helpful using the auto select, because one of the problems with auto masking is that it creates these really hard, unnatural edges. You know, it arbitrarily picks an edge like it did. You watched it when I picked the wood chips. So I should be able to. This should be nice because you can soften that edge up a little bit. Copy mask in there. Save settings. Apply settings from. Rename. Okay, so those are all normal. I'm going to kill that mask because that's just a plain mask. Let's create a new fill layer. New empty layer, fill layer, clone layer, heal layer. So empty layer is an adjustment layer. So they've renamed that they've renamed adjustment to that. What the hell is a fill layer? Oh, it looks like a fill layer is, okay. A fill layer appears to be just an adjustment layer that's full versus an empty fill layer. Okay, so that's a nice, convenient shortcut. Clone layer, this isn't new. This has been around. This is in Capture 110. Capture 1 is guaranteed to pick the wrong location to clone from. They've worked very hard to make that so. Okay, does a reasonable job. Clones. A lot of times I don't have to go to Affinity to do those type of edits now, even in Capture 110. And a heal layer. Same thing, only it tries to do a little bit better blending. Also, it's guaranteed to pick the wrong location. I'm surprised it didn't pick the handle or something. That's usually what it does for me. So there you go. Both of those work in this case pretty well. A lot of times I use the heal brush over the clone brush because it tries to match the tones and stuff a little better, where clone's just a literal clone. Okay, so there's layers. I'm going to go peek at the website and see what we have. So if you haven't used Capture 1 before, this is obviously not an entire Capture 1. Oh yeah, annotations. I want to play with that. It's not an entire tutorial. Capture 1 is an incredibly powerful piece of software. It's got workspaces. It's got a ton of tools. We're not talking about any of that. I'm just looking at the features they changed in Capture 111. Let's go play with the annotations. Okay, so that says annotations to be in the information tab. Ooh. So I don't know that I'm actually going to use the annotations, but can I type on those? It'd be nice if they gave you a text tool here, because I don't really want to do this. I have my Wacom over on the side. I don't feel like getting it out right now. Honestly, I very rarely use the tablet. So I can see this being useful, especially with a tablet, like a more modern, like a Cintiq, because you're drawing directly on the image, or if you're working on even an old Wacom like this with a pen, so it's natural to write. I really wish they'd given a text tool. It doesn't look like there is one. That's just erase. Oh, that's nice. It erases by... It's like the My First Vector Drawing demo that most programming students build. It keeps track of every pen stroke, and you can just delete by pen stroke. Okay, that's cool. So one of the big things they're claiming is speed, which it's going to be hard to verify. Honestly, even working on my D810 files, working with D850 files, which I've been doing more recently, Capture 1 is super spiffy fast. It's never been slow. Oh, annotations with drawing. Okay, cool. Layer opacity, layer workflow. Let's see what they say about layer workflow. Okay, so they've reoriented things to be kind of layer centric, which a lot of people edit that way. If you don't use layers, there's only one layer. It's the background. Done. Something I'll never use that they've done is they've added the ability to export crop to PSD. I wonder how that works. I'm probably never going to use that because I just export when I'm going to retouch something. I just export the entire image, and I just say crop is kind of like sharpening. It's an output step. So when I do a retouch, I generally retouch the entire frame, unless there is definitely edges that should be gone, like the background ended and there's crap behind it or something. Adjustments. Okay, so crops. I've added an option, crop to path to PSD file. So if you're exporting to PSD, it looks like it basically will create you a cropping path layer, which is convenient. Not something I really care about. Oh yeah, another important change. Something that Capture 1 has actually lacked that's kind of bugged me. It's not a huge deal, and that is checking for duplicates on import. So let's re-import. I know this card is plugged in. Come on. Well, okay, so D810. Exclude duplicates. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Capture One. Thank you, Phase One. That's actually one of the main things that's caused me a little bit of headache. When I first transitioned in 6, there was no duplicate checking. And what would happen is if you forget to clear your cards, it's a real pain in the ass. You have to go through and find the edge of the frame. You can't just select everything, hit import all before it generates all the previews. You got to wait for it to bring all the photos up. So that is a feature that I actually think I put a support ticket in for it way back when. So that'll make, especially like a shoot, download, shoot, download, shoot, download studio kind of situation that really should be shot tethered, but that's a different problem. So if we're shooting a situation where we're going to shoot some, download it, pop the card back in the camera, keep shooting, we definitely don't want to clear the card because nothing's been backed up. A lot simpler. They claim color improvements. I use the color editor more and more now. That's going to take some trying to see what happens. Okay, so there's no new images found on that one. Okay, let's display my masks by... Okay, guys, if there's a shortcut here, something you got to tell me. Grayscale. Visualize your mask without distraction by switching to grayscale. Yeah, that's great, but how do I do it? So the text for this feature says, visualize your mask without the distraction of the image by switching to grayscale. Missed areas of your mask are now easily caught and corrected. I agree. And their demo picture gives no indication how you achieve that. Is there a... Wonder where that is. Oh, display grayscale mask. Okay, so it's like Alt-M? Yeah, Alt-M instead of just M. Oh, that is pretty spiffy, actually. That makes visualizing the mask really easy instead of the red. So one of the catches with the red masking is if you're editing an image with a lot of red in it, it gets impossible to tell where the mask ends. I think you can change that color, but it's a pain when you're editing to go through and change the mask color for every image to contrast the image. So that's actually super nice. That'll be helpful. This is one of those tiny little feature changes that can make a big difference. You can see my refining on that mask did not do a super good job. I wonder if I can refine that more. Let's put that in grayscale. So it looks like, much like the auto masking feature, the closer you get it to start with, the better off you're going to be. But also, I will say, this grayscale view, it seems like a corny little simple feature. But man, this is a lot easier to see than the red mask, even when you... Because I can tell exactly where I've spilled onto the table, the background. Okay. Let's refine that and see what happens. So one trick I use on mask when I want to see what effect it's having is I'll take some control and I'll just go nuts with it. So +4 exposure. That looks pretty good. I'm not getting weird halos. Normally if I cranked up the exposure like that on... So the mask itself doesn't look all that different. Like it looks like it's spilling a lot. But if I went +4 on a mask in Capture One 10, I've never gotten a mask that's good enough that you could do that and it wouldn't make the edges look terrible. So that's, even though the mask itself does not look, like looking at this, it looks like it spills, like there should be haloing and stuff, and there's just not, which means I think the refined mask, I think that it's doing a good job of hiding the problems in that, which is really awesome. Okay, so the refined masking I was excited about, and it looks like it's actually better than I would have expected, even though there's no options. So in Affinity, you've got the ability to paint in background and foreground while you're refining, and of course you can just do that and then do a refined mask. But you have the ability to matte the edges and tell it, hey, here's an edge, treat this like an edge. You don't have that here, which is a shame, but it's also appears to work really good. There's an unboxing. Honestly, it looks pretty much like Capture One looks, except they rearranged the default workspace a little bit by adding layers to the main thing. I'm really looking forward to using this a little bit more, and I think I'm going to go ahead and my next couple of catalogs I'll probably bring right into here instead of staying on Capture One 10. Got some travel coming up. We'll see what happens here. Fly out to San Diego to drive back with my wife as she finishes her PhD. Gonna stop in Tucson, so there'll be some photography there. There'll be some photography out on the West Coast, a day or two. Super quick trip, but it'll give me a chance to generate some photos. Until next time, talk to you later.